Hello, everyone. So, unfortunately, and again, there's been discussion about this. There was another tourist attacked the other night in Dublin and Tapa Bar specifically. Is a man of his 40s, a British tourist, who's currently fighting for his life after being assaulted. Now, so many people come here as tourists. We've seen recently enough a Canadian fellow lost his life in Dublin, just a few metres away from the biggest Garda station in the country, Store Street Garda station, just across from Bus Hours, 40 metres or something like that from the Garda station. And Helen McAtee, the former Minister for Justice, says Dublin is safe. It's not safe. I was in Dublin in January and before I went to Finland in May. And I didn't feel safe, and to be totally honest, I never will really want to be near Dublin as much. I avoid it as all as possible, and this is my capital city, where I grew up in the whole country. I grew up in Ireland, and this is supposed to be my capital city, Dublin, that represent the people of Ireland to people coming from here from abroad, the first place they see. And it's not great, let's put it that way. It's not great for any tourist coming to this country. And it raises the thing, and I've seen this discussion online, and particularly with Donald Trump. This is what I'm talking about, so just bear with me for a second. So, as you probably heard, Donald Trump has deployed the National Guard, which is kind of like the reservists of the Irish Defence Force. But here's the thing with Ireland: we only have about 2,000 reservists in the army, in the reserves, and that's nothing. 2,000 nothing. It doesn't exist pretty much. The reserve defence forces used to be bigger. They don't exist pretty much now. There's only 2,000 or so. Very few left. So the thing is about deploying the Irish Army to the streets of Dublin. And I know there's been a bit of discussion about this. They should follow what Donald Trump has done in Washington, the District of Columbia, particularly in Washington, D.C. And there's many different things. First of all, yes, you know, the Gardaí in this country are not the nicest people in terms of the corruption, the corrupt. They enforce the law when it suits them, pretty much. When you don't pay your TV license, or if you're an old woman, an Irish woman, you're protesting against people being bussed into your neighbourhood in the middle of the night, the Gardaí will take out the batons and beat them or women up. But when it comes to people actually doing knife crime and stuff like that, the very gently, they do nothing about that. And the same with people doing drugs. They don't want to deal with it. It's too much hassle. They go after unaccompanied drivers, but they won't go and fight knife crime or anything like that. It's too much hassle for them. But again, this is the thing with the Irish Army. The Irish state is pretty much become in 1984, let's put it that way, and wants kind of to control people and to oppress people pretty much. Let's be fair, they want to bring in hate speech laws to shut people up. So deploying the Irish Army, this is the thing. Would be very radical. First of all, it would be the first time probably in the Irish state that ever was deployed, like to police the world, like pretty much martial law. You nearly they could call it. But what I'm saying, but is the Irish state would take advantage of that. So if you have thought crime, they come to your house and with guns and might deal with you in that way, if that makes any sense. Because that's pretty much what the Irish state would think about. They'd be like, oh yeah, we can shut this fellow up because he's criticising us. Like what's happened to me. They could come here and shut me up if they wanted to. Because you have the army on the streets. So I wouldn't trust the Irish state to deploy the army onto the streets. Let's put it that way. Second of all, I don't think it would do much good. Because there's no will. There's no will in the government, in the city council, to do anything to stop the criminality, say for example, drug dealing in Dublin. There's no will to try and help these people, because the best thing to do is the same in Cavan where I am. They catch people with drugs, they're away for maybe a few weeks in prison, to come out and do the same thing again. So you're pretty much just going around and round in circles. There's no treatment. There's no, to just put you in prison and then you get out in a week's time and you do the same thing again and end back in prison. It's the same with shoplifting. There's many people I can name by name in Cavan that do shoplifting. They get caught by the guards, they're out in a few hours' time at the guards' barracks and they do the same thing again. And it's just constantly repeated. The guards bring them into the station. They're there for maybe a few hours in the holding cell, and then they get released. And then they go out and do it again, and it's just back and back and back. And then it takes years for them to go to court, and it's just a mess. But so it's the whole system. First of all, that's the problem. The whole justice system, and not to mention the justice system. Rather put people away for the TV licenses. There's a big problem with that. When somebody literally goes and beats somebody, on the streets of Dublin with a iron bar or something like that, or goes around with a knife and tries to kill people. Take for example, the person would try to kill the children outside the school and stuff like that. You probably should deal with them very harshly. But the justice system, softy hands. But when somebody doesn't pay their TV license, by God, they're very tough on you. But we do have to make Dublin safe. It is a sad disgrace to see Dublin the way it is. It's a sad disgrace in every part of the country. because it's not good. That's why there's no tourists coming here. They don't feel safe. It's a dangerous country. And particularly Dublin's a dangerous country. And I'm saying this in outlaws, and I wish I didn't have to say it. But it's the truth, because you can't just sit here and deny it, because it's the truth. Nobody can deny it. Helen McAtee famously went around saying Dublin was safe, and then she went out with a Garda escort, and there's a few pictures online that kind of tells the story of that one. But, all seriousness, personally, I don't think we should deploy the army into the streets. Now, it might do some good, in visibility in terms of the army with guns on the street and stuff. But it wouldn't be good. It feel more like 1984, to be totally honest, that if you make a third crime commit, you could be arrested for that or shot. But I don't agree with that. But I suppose it's interesting to have this conversation. But as I say, I don't think I could trust the Irish state with that power, because pretty much I don't know. It's hard to know who would have the authority over that. Would it be the Garda Commissioner, or would it be the Minister for Defence, the Minister for Justice? It's hard to know if the army were deployed, to do that role, to pretty much police the street along and Garda Street O'Connor. I don't know who would have the role in that. Would it be the Department of Defence? Would it be a military operation? I mean by that, obviously the military would be on the street. Would it be under the organisation of the Department of Defence? Or would it be the Department of Justice, or the Minister for Justice? Or would it be the Garda Commissioner, the Chief of Staff of the Army? It'd be hard to know. I presume it would be the Department of Justice to be, because to be doing it, I don't think it'd be a military kind of operation. I don't know. It's hard to know if they did do it. But personally, I don't think that we should ever do it, because the Irish state, you couldn't trust them, first of all. And second of all, I don't think it would make much of a difference, because let's be fair, there's not many in the Irish army now too. And I still don't think it would make much of a difference, because it's more the system. And this is the thing, as I said, it's the system itself. It's fucked. Excuse my language, but that's what it is. And I don't think if we deployed even 50,000 soldiers, if we magically appeared in the middle of the night, 50,000 soldiers, and just put them all around Dublin in every corner, it still wouldn't make a difference. We would arrest a lot of people and get a lot of people for drugs and other stuff. But at the same time too, if they're going to go to prison for a few weeks, a few months, and get back out and do the same thing again, you might as well just shoot yourself in the foot, because you're not achieving anything. It's just constantly just cycles, going around in circles. So I suppose it's an interesting thing to talk about. But I suppose let me know what you take. What do you take? Do you agree with Donald Trump putting the National Guard in DC? I suppose I'm an Irish person. I shouldn't have a really opinion on that, but I suppose it's an interesting thing to see, because you're not hearing it very often. But we see what happens in Washington. We see what presumably crime will go down a bit. But I don't know how it would work in an Irish perspective in Dublin, in a different country. And so let me know what you think. Subscribe for more, and bye.